Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera kepada anda yang sedang menyaksikan kita secara langsung. Kita bersiaran secara langsung di laman Facebook page RUGBY.MY dan juga laman Facebook page Malaysia Rugby Union dan juga laman ataupun saluran YouTube Malaysia Rugby Union. Selamat datang kami ucapkan kepada semua yang menyaksikan kami secara langsung untuk sesi Bual Bicara Legenda Siri 3 yang dibawakan khas untuk anda oleh Akademi Ragbi Malaysia. Dan untuk makluman semua, pada malam ini kita akan bersama dengan tetamu yang sangat istimewa yang dibawakan khas untuk anda oleh penganjur pada malam ini. Dan pada malam ini kita akan bersama dengan seorang pemain yang tidak asing lagi, seorang tokoh ataupun idola ataupun ikon yang tidak asing lagi, iaitu Rodney So'oialo. Sebentar lagi kita akan bawakan beliau bersama dengan kita. Tapi sebelum itu, apa kata kita bawa masuk tetamu-tetamu yang istimewa juga yang akan bersama kita pada malam ini. Itu dia, kita ada Coach Lee Nyuk Fah. Coach Lee dan juga saudara Rostam Effendi Sijah. Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Coach Lee. How are you?
Good evening. Good and fine. Thank you very much.
Yes. So looking good tonight, Coach Lee?
Yeah, Coach. Just after leader, so looking good, fresh, energetic.
All right, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Coach Lee Nyuk Fah as the Director of Coaching Malaysia Rugby, and also together with us tonight, Rostam Effendi Sijah, the Coordinator of Coaching Board Malaysia Rugby. Thank you very much, Mr. Rostam, for being with us tonight. How are you? Good?
Good. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, all right. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our special guest for tonight, Rodney So'oialo. Hi, Rod.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, how are you?
How are you, Rod?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
Yes, and we are so excited that a big name in rugby, especially for All Blacks, that are joining us tonight. And for our audience, feel free to ask any question or any opinions that would you like to share with us. Please feel free to type in at the live comment section, and we will display it on the screen. And we will be discussing, sharing about the Rodney experience, especially in rugby, in coaching, and so on. But before that, can we get Mr. or Coach Lee Nyuk Fah for a welcome speech for the audience? Please, Coach Lee.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of the Malaysian Rugby Union, I would like to say thank you to everyone and welcome to this StreamYard online session. And to be frank with you, I am also excited as well, talking to a legend of the All Blacks who have won what I call this 7th gold medal in the 2001 World Cup Sevens in Argentina, and then 2002 for the Commonwealth Games in Manchester, England. And after that, there was a 15-a-side from 2002 and 2009. And it's in great pleasure that, and we feel that it is what I call an honor for the Malaysian to have opportunity to have our guest, our special guest. It's a great privilege to have you on board. And of course, as what our Mr. Bob, the moderator. So I believe moderator Bob and Rodney So'oialo have a lot of similarity and for same chemistry. For your info, that they have the same birthday, but just Rodney is older by 2 years old. So I believe they have the same chemistry on this chit chat and on this conversation. So lastly, I hope that we will enjoy the next session with our special guest, Rodney. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Lee. Just before we start with Rod, just allow me to just read a little introduction about Rodney. Rod, allow me just to read your basic background. Well, Rodney So'oialo, a strong, aggressive, loose forward with plenty of pace, was a constant presence in the All Black back row for much of the 2000s, playing mostly at number 8 and forming an effective trio with his Wellington teammate Jerry Collins and Richie McCaw. In 2001, So'oialo played for the New Zealand Rugby Sevens team at the Rugby World Cup Sevens in Argentina, which New Zealand won. The next year, he was again in a member of a New Zealand Sevens team, winning gold at the 2002 Commonwealth Games in Manchester. He made his debut for the All Blacks on the 23rd November 2002, playing at number 8 in a match against the Welsh at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. Following the year, he started at number 8 for a test against England in June, and then as a reserve in tests against the Springbok in July. He earned 4 caps at the 2003 World Cup in Australia, scoring 2 tries. He was a reserve in the game against Italy in Melbourne, but started at number 8 in the next game against Canada, scoring 2 tries. He played at all Blacks subsequent games at the World Cup. He was always highly regarded as a natural leader, often captaining the Hurricanes and also the All Blacks in 5 tests when Metcalf was either rested or injured. He was a captain in the 3 Tri-Nation tests in 2008 against the country of his birth the same year and against Italy on the 2009 end-of-year tour. His Sevens involvement soon ended with his early inclusion in the Hurricanes Super 12 side and then with the All Blacks. And So'oialo retained his All Black position up until 2009 season. He has played altogether 111 games for the Hurricanes, 64 for Wellington, and 63 for the All Blacks. Yes, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Rodney So'oialo. Rodney.
Thank you for having us. And it's good to see you, Lee, once again. I've known Lee for a few years now, and it's an honor to obviously speak to you guys and hopefully, sort of give you guys an insight of where my journey was as a rugby player and where it is right now as a coach.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Rod. And perhaps we can start with our talk show tonight. Perhaps can you share your journey as an All Black for a beginning, Rod?
Yeah, I guess talking about my journey, I'll take it right back to where it really started for me. I was born in a small country, Samoa. It's a little island not too far from New Zealand. So a population of about 200,000 people in that country. And my mother and father decided to migrate to New Zealand when I was at the age of about 6. For the same reasons that probably 80% of the All Blacks at the moment, because a lot of them are Pacific Islanders, for the same reasons their grandparents left or migrated to New Zealand, or their parents migrated to New Zealand, and that was opportunity. So a better opportunity for their kids, for themselves, not only financially, but a better lifestyle for the kids, So my parents left New Zealand and packed up all the kids. We're a family of 9, so we got 7 children in our family. I'm right in the middle, so I'm number four out of the 7 children. Where it's actually quite nice being in the middle, because the younger kids got a lot of the telling off by the parents, especially my mum. And the older ones got the same. So I was in the middle, so I didn't get as told off as often as the other 6 children. So when we went to New Zealand, there was for us it was a different journey, where I saw what I saw, and I believe that really drives someone to succeed. Was it wasn't hardship, but it was definitely wasn't. We didn't have a lot of the things that a lot of other blessed children had growing up. We didn't have the material things. We had a father who is amazing. He's a hero to me, and he was the sole income earner. Growing up for myself, where he was working to support a family of 9, and my mother was a stay-at-home mum, and I don't know how she does it, because I've got 4 children myself, and it's a pretty tough job being a parent, especially providing for the children, getting them up in the morning to go to school, making their lunches and making their dinners and things like that. It's a pretty tough job being a parent. So I witnessed that growing up. What we lacked in sort of material things, we didn't lack in the love and the support that my family had provided. Where I saw a lot of love, a lot of support, and a lot of a lot of drive. And I think that's what drove me to sort of succeed as a as a young Samoan boy brought up in a place, Porirua, where myself, Jerry Collins, and actually TJ Perenara and the Allison boys have come from. So all of those guys have made the All Blacks after myself and Jerry gone through the system. So for us, it was we wanted things. We wanted to sort of test ourselves. We wanted to prove people wrong about their stereotype of where we came from and who we are as people. Because stereotypically, people would look down at you just because you're a Pacific Islander or the area that you came from. They sort of they'll pretty much try and write your history for you, and by making comments about just about your obviously your nationality or your or the area that you came from. So for me, that really drove me. That drove me to succeed. That drove me to prove people wrong. And then obviously the combination of the love and the support that my parents had provided for us, that really drove me to really find what purpose God had for me. I'm a Christian by faith, so I really have a sense of purpose. Like what is my purpose? Why am I here? So for me, I was always trying to find, trying to push myself to succeed in whatever I do, whether that's in playing rugby or coaching the game. So after that, so my journey started as a rugby player. I was at the age of 14. I played rugby.
Okay.
So I played soccer or football in some people's places. And then from a young age to the age of about 12, I played soccer. And then, like all Kiwis in New Zealand, you migrate, you congregate towards your to rugby. And the reason why I congregated there was there are a couple reasons, and it was my friends and my brothers. My brothers are big. They're a big part of the reasons why I succeeded in the game. They taught me a lot. They taught me a lot about the game, and especially around the area of it's better to give than to receive, like the physicality, being able to be real physical in a tackle and make sure that I end up on top and I don't end up on the bottom. So my brothers really helped me out in that area, because obviously being the fourth child, you've got a few brothers that are older than yourself. They were physically bigger at the time, and so I had to quickly learn how to handle the contact area, especially in the tackling department. So that's one thing that I really love in the game of rugby. So So that transition from soccer
Mhm.
went to rugby league for 1 year,
Yeah.
and then purely because the contact area, so the two things that made me change, well, two physical things that made me change, from soccer to rugby, and that was the contact area, and then the other ones were the influence of people, so my brothers and the friends. So I went to rugby at the age of 14,
Okay.
and yeah, and I to be honest, I was very blessed to be able to have opportunities that I had, because I quickly made the rep teams coming through. I've had time to reflect on performances, how I got there. So for me, it's I look back at it, and my pastor said to me one day, he talked about stewarding your what you have.
Mhm.
That meant, and I thought to myself that I had a gift, and that gift was playing rugby. But in reality, that gift, the gift that I had, was the ability to work hard. So the ability to work harder than the next person. So as a Pacific Island a player, a Samoan player, the perception of Samoan players is that they're not very clever, or Pacific Island players.
Mhm.
The main one is they're not very clever, and then the other one is the fitness. So two areas where I definitely wanted to question. Two areas that I definitely wanted to challenge, and that was the ability to lead,
Mhm.
and so educating myself growing up, and then the other one was the fitness. So I really challenged my mental capabilities and my physical. So I wanted to be the fittest player there was, and it didn't really matter where what nationality it was. I just wanted to challenge every single team that I played in, or every player that I played against. So I wanted to keep pushing myself in that area, and I think so that's when when you're in reflection, I think that my gift was the ability to work hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Sorry.
back then, Rod, how was the Samoan community in your place? There are a lot of Samoan friends, or how was it?
Oh, we fantastic. Like growing up in the Samoan culture, you were never short of people. You would never short on food, because the Samoan culture, we're about people, we're about family, and we've got big families, and we're about food. We love our food, and I think that's why you see a lot of Pacific Islanders. They're naturally quite big people, So because we weren't short of food, we weren't short of family members coming around, friends. So one of my best mates is a Maori guy who came to my house when we were younger, and he couldn't leave, which was kind of shows you the environment that we're brought up in. The you know your parents being able to open their home up to someone else, and then making sure that that individual actually learns a language, because English being our second language, my parents had to tell some of our friends that if they're going to join or participate in the household, they had to learn how to speak the Samoan language. So, and I think that's the beauty about New Zealand. is that everyone is we're multicultural people, and we are able to communicate in other people's languages. So and we encourage it. So it's just great to see. It's great to see the New Zealand public embracing everyone's culture and embracing everyone's language. So that's been good.
Yeah. All right. Right. Thanks, Rod. And for Coach Lee, you have met Rod before. I mean, you brought the national team in New Zealand for training. I know that was your first time meeting with Rod.
Okay. Actually, the first time I met Rod was back in 2017 when I was attending what I call a coaching specialist course attached to the club of Wellington Lions, which is competing in the Mitre 10s. And at that time, Rod was what I call one of the coaches for the Wellington Lions. And of course, that club, that field is also belong to the Hurricanes. So of course, subsequently, I keep in touch with this superstar. He's a legend in All Blacks. He's handsome, very good looking. So I follow up with him. In 2018, Malaysia qualified for the Premier, and we have the opportunity to go to a Rifle College to have a sting at the Rifle College, where we have about 3 weeks there with our national players. So we managed to get Rod to assist us for our preparation of our team. So there was the picture that there is a Rifle College in Auckland. So it's a great honor to meet, especially the players, to meet up the Rod. Of course, subsequently after 2018, we have opportunity to bring Rodney over to Johor, to Malaysia. This is where that he managed to travel almost the whole state of Johor, meet 1,000 of players, especially young players. And of course, his coaching, his words that really inspire the young players, to another level that where Malaysia that hopefully they can follow the footstep and be what I call to improve, to be a better team in the international stage. So that's how we met Rodney back in 2017.
Okay, and you came to Johor, Rod. I mean, in 2019, right, Coach Lee? He came to Johor.
There was 2019 that we have a lot of workshop, and at the same time also that is in conjunction with our Johor carnivals tournaments, where we have thousands over the age group players, youngsters at the stadium, Edu City stadiums. There is a great atmosphere and a great coverage, especially from a rugby legend. Even from the Johor side, the legend, the what I call the Prince of the Johor, looking for in the middle of the night, looking for Rodney So'oialo to meet up with him. So we bring a big impression to the Johor and to the Malaysia as well.
Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you, Coach Lee. And in fact, we do have our own Malaysian legend with us, Coach Lee. Chocho. Rostam Effendi is also one of our Malaysian legend as well.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Okay, Rod. We move on to the next question. What inspired you to be an All Blacks coach, mentor? I mean, players. What inspired you to be one of the All Blacks legend? You say?
That's a good question. I mean, what inspired me to play rugby at the beginning was friendship. Was just being able to play, being able to enjoy yourself. And I think that really gets lost in the professional era now that we're in right now, is that the younger generation are driven by the outcome. And when I talk, especially with my coaching, is that we don't focus too much on the outcome. The outcome is an outcome. So if you make the All Blacks, that's an outcome of their dedication. That's the outcome of everything aligning together. So what drove me to be an All Black was the fact that the All Blacks was never on my mind. At the age of 14, I started playing rugby. I really enjoyed playing rugby with my mates and playing against other schools, because school competition in New Zealand is very big. So the ability to beat another school, it's amazing. Like there's a different feeling. If you're driven and you're driven to win, you want to challenge every great schools there are. And Wellington have got some great schools, where the school that I went to, it wasn't great. It was a co-ed public school in Porirua. It was our school was Mana College, so we didn't have much. But what we did have, did have compared to the other schools was the hunger to beat them. There was the drive to change people's perception of us from their school. So from my school personally, after I left, we have probably around about close to 8 internationals that had come from my school after I left. So I had 2 brothers who played for Samoa. So and he was the first international that so the Gary Knight, and then obviously my brother was the first international from my era, and that kind of opened up possibilities for us, being able to see your brother do it, and then being able to push to drive yourself to do the same. And then obviously TJ Perinares and the Ellison boys come through. My other brother went through the system as well. I've got a few friends that have played for Samoa that come through our school as well. So so what drove us was to be an All Black was the problem wasn't until I was my final year of college, and the Maru Samoa team had been training in Wellington, and they had been sort of pushing to try and get me to play, and I'd got myself into a situation where I was really, really fit, and I'd pushed myself that hard that I was able to beat a lot of people in the fitness run. So I was able to push my body past what everyone else was prepared to take their body. So we had a fitness test in Wellington, and my older brother, he was in the Samoan squad at the time, and he was reasonably quite new still. I think he had made it maybe 2 years, maybe third year into the Samoan squad, and he. I ran the run, and I'd done really, really well, and I sort of come first in that fitness run. And my brother pulls me to the side. We're driving home, and he says, I reckon you'll make the All Blacks. I don't accept it. So I'd been asked to come and join the Samoan team. My brother had advised me that he believes that I'll make it. So for me, that was like the sort of nail in the coffin of what direction I was going to try go for.
Yeah.
And I just changed position as well. So I used to play fullback my younger years, and then sort of made that transition to the forwards. Because I enjoyed the physicality, I enjoyed the tackle, the breakdown area. So I made that transition, and that's what started to drive, their hunger to try and get a little bit better. Like I said to you guys before, the All Blacks was an outcome. Like that didn't drive me. What drove me was the fact that I could be better than someone else. Like if I looked at another number 8, and I had physically they're bigger, physically they're stronger, but then I would always flip it around and say Okay, so they're physically stronger than you, they're bigger than you. What do you have that that person doesn't have? And that was always my ability to be able to say, okay, so I'm fitter than him. I'm going to be faster than him. I'm going to, beat them to the breakdown or do this, whatever. So I would use a negative into a positive all the time and being able to see beyond the physical and then say, well, actually, I'll take you to that other side where you're probably not going to survive in there because it's which is a saying that I've always said it, and I always say it to my son. My son is 10 years old, and he's got some special gifts, and he's going to be a big boy. But the ability to work, I said to my son, is like you're going to have a few people that are going to have the same ability. So where they get to the next level is the ability to go take that person to the deep end of the water and then drown that person in the deep end of the water. And what I mean by that is the hard work that you put into it. If you put your hard work into your training, like you train as hard as you can, harder than you do when you play, you guarantee that person would never have gone to that place. So you can take that person into that area and then drown that person in that area because he's not going to survive in there. So I always had that mentality to try it. If the other person succeeds, it's because he's worked hard and obviously the ability to stay in there as well. But you can only sort of answer those by questioning yourself and taking that route. So I do that with my son. So my son has the ability right now and the drive to push, and he doesn't want to push him, which is actually quite nice. Being overseas, and then my son's still being able to have the ability to drive himself, run to training, run back home. So those things are, I think it's a lost art sometimes, especially with the modern world, because everything is driven by vehicles. Driven by social media.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
We need, so the ability to make sure that they're grounded, that the kids are grounded, that they're still being able to work hard, and you're still appreciating the fact that you've been gifted 2 legs. You can actually run to those things. You don't have to jump in the car or a vehicle. If it's close enough, if it's within 5 kilometers, you can run that. So, or in 10 Ks, and in my case, when I was growing up.
Okay, right. Rod, we do have a question from our audience from Muhammad Hatta Abdul Rahman. Hi, Rodas. What was the hardest part for being an All Blacks? What was the hardest part?
Yeah, that's a great question there, Muhammad. So the hardest part about being in the All Blacks is probably it's the limelight. So you what we call a fish bowl. So you're a little fish in a bowl where everyone can see you. So the ability for you to grow along the process, it's a tough one, So for myself growing up, I was usually quiet. Like I never spoke when I spoke when I was growing up. I had to get my brothers or my mum to speak on my behalf. So when people would ask me questions, I would always look at my mum and then get her to answer for me, because I wasn't I didn't particularly like their side of because I was really uncomfortable to be honest, to be able to speak to people. So this is one of those things that we, I think it might have been a question before about leadership. Whether you're born as a leader or I think it's a learnt behaviour. It's definitely a learnt behaviour, leadership. like leadership for me was I learned and I've developed through my playing career. So being in the All Blacks was a great process for me because it made me grow. It grew me as an individual, and it grew me as a leader. So I was able to develop that side of leadership. I was able to come out of my comfort zone and then be able to talk to people, be able to drive. Well, obviously, run a program in coaching and making sure that program succeeds. So I learned that along the way. But yeah, so the hardest thing about being in the All Blacks, I reckon one of the easiest things was getting in there. You know, one of the challenges and it really excited me was was being able to try keep staying in that jersey.
Yeah.
We often have people that give up or that actually just doesn't appreciate it at the end. They don't appreciate it, and that's why they're very short in their career. But I really enjoyed the challenge of trying to stay in there. Well, not just trying to stay in there, but offer something to the jersey, to the All Black jersey.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We do have a comment from our audience from Farid Rahman, Bula Coach, Chocho, Kia Ora, Rodney. Thank you, Farid, for being here with us. We do have another question from Gabriel James. Any good advice to be a good fullback? Right. Any good advice?
Fullback, I think good fullbacks have the one of the best advice that they would have, not just as a fullback, but loose forwards, is anticipation. So anticipation is not just a word; it's the ability to understand where the ball is going to be played, where the game is at. Like if you start to analyze the game a lot more, if you start to see if you're a split second behind, that could be the meaning of you not being able to catch that ball on the full, or you being in a position to make those tackles, or in a position to get the next pass, which could lead to a try. So really learn the anticipation, anticipate where the game is played, and then where you could be at that time to be able to be in a positive, positive playing area.
Okay, all right. So we do have some comments from our friends. Let me check. From our friend Farid, steady host. From Muhammad Zuhaili, good looking. From our friend Zach, hi Rodney, jom makan. Jom makan simply means let's eat. And, yeah, Muhammad Zuhaili, wonder with which All Blacks or any SR player did you go to school with? Any of your classmates All Blacks player, right?
We I grew up with Jerry Collins coming through, and then obviously a lot of the other players were younger than myself that played for the All Blacks. TJ Perinara was at the school that I went to. So was Tamati Ellison. So Tamati Ellison made the All Blacks as well. We went to the same school, boys around the corner from mum and dad's house. So growing up, we were brought up in the same area, went to the same school. But most of the guys that you kind of play against, because they either went to a really good school from a popularity, they went to a town school, and we were in a outside of town. So it's a good challenge for us.
All right, cool. So, Rod, we move on to the next question. Since you are the coach as well, the question sounds like this: do we really need to incorporate sports science, especially in grassroots rugby? I mean, for I mean, the scenario in Malaysia, for example, I mean, do we really need to incorporate the sport science, especially for grassroots rugby? Right. What do you think?
Yeah, that's two things. I think you need to incorporate a little bit of it because you need to understand the physiology side of it. Being able to have a look at certain things that can improve your performance. So we look at so we are constantly looking at that as coaches. Has been how do you get the edge in playing against other teams.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing I believe is that we don't look too heavily into it, especially at grassroots rugby, because you lose the main part, and that's the fun, that's the enjoyment, that's the the ability for people to not stress when they're coming into an environment. Because we all know, and this is where the All Blacks are really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So they make sure that their off-field life is sorted. So we've got 3 players that have just had 3 babies. Their wives that have just given birth to their children again. But the ability to understand that your family is very important and your off-field stuff. So mentally, if you are not mentally well, you will not perform that well. So just making sure that in grassroots rugby that we're enjoying yourself. Grassroots rugby means that people are working. They're either full-time workers. They come, so that they've worked 60-hour shifts or whatever it is. They want an outlet to be able to have fun with their friends. And if you're an adult, for some of the people that are obviously in adult rugby, the opportunity to have a beer at the end of the week with your friends after the game, it's like that's one of the lost arts, and they're bringing it back into rugby now because they understand the not the beer side of it, but the ability to be together. At the end of the week, if it's just having a glass of water or whatever it is with your friends, having a feed at the end of the week, that's massive. That's massive on from our point of view.
Yep. Okay. Rod, we do have another question from our audience, from Terence Badok. Hi, just wondering if there's a big difference between the current All Blacks development squad and your players during your time, probably the skills and the thinking part. Is there any big difference or any gap between the current squad and during your time, Rod?
Yeah, the only thing that sort of that sticks to my mind is that the game changes. But when you look at it, nothing else changes. I mean, I've coached this department for a long time, and it's something that's really that I really enjoy, and that's the ability to challenge people. So when you look at the game has changed considerably, but the speed, it's not the same speed. Like they're the same speed, same physicality, the same human beings. So, but the game's changed. That's the only difference that I see. And I think it's awesome to be able to keep changing the game up a little bit, reinventing it, try and challenge other people's mindset, other people's game. So it's been interesting watching the All Blacks, the international scene at the moment, because we've got Australia that's trying to stay with an All Black team. But in reality, they should just they should strip it back a bit and then start thinking about maybe winning the first thing. So we talk about the principles of play, and one of the main things is winning the contact. So they're not winning the contacts that you're always going to go backwards. So you when you're under pressure, you end up throwing silly mistakes. So which has led to, I think it's about 4 or 5 intercept tries from the All Blacks against the Australian team. So being able to execute things, being able to execute your game, it comes down to a few things. So principles play, you got to win that contact first, got to go forward, you got to maintain your own ball. So where you see that in the All Blacks, but you see a lot of mistakes from the Australians because they're trying to play the expensive game before they go forward. So that's been interesting.
Okay, all right, thank you. We do have another question from Esteriana Santi Nicholas. Hi, sir. What is your motivation words? What is your word of motivation?
Words of motivation for me. I don't. Like for me, it's always. So we have certain words. Obviously, family. You guys know. In Maori, the word is whānau. In Samoan, the word is whānau. So, so for us, family is massive for me. My children, that's what drives me. So, and then obviously being a Christian is, the ability to understand what my purpose is. So, what does God want me to do? So that's what drives me.
All right.
Motivates me.
Yeah. So we do have another question from WM Azim. Hello, Rod. Can you share any good tips on scrummaging? for scrum? Yeah.
One of the things that scrummaging is understanding your body. So that's if you understand your body and you understand where you're strong, and this is where you don't have to be big. You don't have to be a massive player to win contact. So all you need is the ability to understand your body. Are you strong up high or are you strong down low? So if you're strong down the bottom and someone else is at the top, you need to be able to bring that person down to you. So setting a nice height. But if it means that if you're strong up the top and that person is set low, you're going to have to try to get low to get them up high because you're stronger higher. So understanding where you're strong is massive. So if you don't understand where you're strong, you start doing a little bit of work around that area, like a little bit of work around the contact area, trying to find out, especially on those little wrestling drills that you might have against most of your players. Trying to find out where am I strong? Am I stronger down here? Am I stronger at the top? Those are I think that's the main point about their contact areas, about their scrum.
Okay, all right, cool. Another question from Terence. Read in Wikipedia that your brothers also played for Samoa. Have you guys played against each other internationally?
Yeah, actually, yep. So I've got my older brother who played halfback. Actually, and then my younger brother, he's 10 years younger than me, so we never crossed paths. But a funny story about that. I played against my older brother, and he's older than me, but I ended up getting a little bit big, so I got taller and I got stronger, and my brother is a halfback, so he's shorter, and but my mother and our mum, she would tell me off and say that don't do that to your brother. And it's like, how does that work? He's older than me, So there was this one photo that we had that we've got at mum and dad's house, and my brother's come to tackle me, and I've got my hand out on his face. So my mum wasn't happy, but So we played against each other when we were in the international scene.
Okay, all right. We do have another comments and question, quite long, from Amma Haizam Hamdan. Hi, Rod. Younger and upcoming player being criticized heavily when they make mistakes during games, especially in the era of social media. How bad do you think that this will be affecting their development, and when no mistakes can be tolerated, especially if you are an All Blacks player?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Amma. Like, if you are one of these players, I want you to really have a look at your you, like look at you internally, and then who are you? Like this is one of the departments that I work with my teams, is being able to understand who you are first and what you're about. So being able to put a process for you to go forward, how what really drives you. Who am I? Like like if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you're a family man, if you're so these things here we have we put them in a what we call a little bowl. So you put everything in the bowl there, and then whatever comes outside of the bowl that does that belong there, So the comments like that in social media, are you driven by people? Acceptance from people in social media, because if it doesn't belong there, it does not go into that bubble or into that little bowl of yours. So, so really have a look at yourself and then understand what drives you.
Okay, all right, cool. Rod, we do have another question from our audience, Afiq Khairul. Hi, Rod. You mentioned grassroots rugby. If you had to choose one thing that Asian rugby must do to one day catch up with Tier 1 nation, what would that be? Especially for Asian rugby.
Yeah, it's tough because if Malaysia is to really if they want to compete, there is a few things that they have to do. So in order to grow the Malaysian rugby, they have to expose yourself to better games. So there's a few things that's going to come down to, and that's going to come down to the financial position, and then the relationships that you have with outside of Malaysia rugby. So can you bring in more? And then once you start to bring the financial side and then relationships with other people, you start to build a better competition for yourselves. So whether that, because once you start to have a great competition, you get there's a couple of things that come with that, and that's the popularity, people interested in it, and then that's the level of rugby that you're going to expose yourselves to. So exposing yourself to some quality rugby is a major. So I'll give you two. There are a couple of evidences of that, and that's Japan. So Japan have invested a lot of money into growing their Japanese rugby. So they brought in a lot of players, international players. They created a great competition, which allows them to compete. And then having the relationships to be able to send some of their Japanese players outside to be exposed to some of the other competitions. So some of the players have obviously played in Super Rugby, and then the other players have played in the British competition. So and then you've got America. So America obviously put a lot of money in there. Competing with the All Blacks often now, so now they're exposed to a lot more quality games, and that's allowed them to grow.
All right. So our friend Izam Ben Ibrahim is asking, does size really matters, mate? Especially in rugby. I mean, for Asian rugby, for Malaysian players, the size really matters. I mean, for you, what's your opinion then?
Hey, look, the Africans have been bigger than the All Blacks all the time, like by far. Size-wise, they've always been bigger than the All Blacks. Well, like if you look at the history, the Africans have lost more times than they have won against the All Blacks. So that should tell you that you don't have to be big, but it does help. It does help in the long run because you need to get a little bit stronger, And then some of the evidence on that is obviously Christian Collins, which is one of the best fullback in the world of rugby. He was 76 kilos, but he definitely didn't lack in size and strength. the other one is Damien McKenzie at the moment. So
Yeah.
very comfortable. So he's not shy of the contact area, and so he definitely likes that contact area.
All right. Okay, cool, Rod. Chocho, any question from you or any question from
Yes,
Coach?
Rod, I have one. I grew up watching you, Umanga, and also Nono, the dreadlocks of the Wellington. Now, my question: what happened to your dreadlock? Umanga still have his.
I actually said to myself that I was going to cut it when I turned 30.
Oh, okay.
So once I turned 30, I made sure that I was going to cut it. But I kind of went to 32 and I thought, oh, geez. So I cut it to help a friend of ours through some of the stuff that he had. And so I had to fundraise to help him out. So I cut that.
Yeah, that's cool. Because now the All Blacks is doing the mullet style, kind of thing. There are no more
Amazing.
dreadlocks in the team.
Yeah. So actually, 3 haircuts that are probably not gonna die. 3 haircuts, obviously, the board haircut, the dreadlocks, and the mullets. So those 3 haircuts I think
That's cool.
keep surviving for a long time.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Chocho, for the question. Right, it is now exactly 1 hour since we are on air. So for that, I would like to invite the Malaysia Rugby President of Malaysia Rugby, Dato' Sharul, who is already with here in the studio. Assalamualaikum, Dato'.
Hi, Rod. Hi, how are you doing, Uso? How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you very much. I've been listening to you for the last 15 minutes, and I am inspired, and I can't imagine how you've been inspiring our boys and girls for the last 1 hour. And on behalf of Malaysia Rugby fraternity, I would like to thank you for spending the time. I guess you can tell that you are so popular here in Malaysia, and you have a lot of fan base here in Malaysia. And thank you for inspiring my boys and girls, and also my colleagues, the coaches, and the whole Malaysian rugby fraternity. Rod, thank you very much.
That's no problem. My pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to do this more often, actually.
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Dato'.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate it. We really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you, Dato'. And Coach Lee, Chocho, any more, further question, maybe last question from either Coach Lee or Chocho, or maybe Dato', you want me to reserve any question for you too, Rod?
It's okay. We'll leave the question when he is in Malaysia in person sooner or later.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Alright.
met in Johor. We met in Johor the last time we met in Johor. Yeah, so looking forward to see you back in Malaysia after this COVID thing settles down, hopefully. And you take care of yourself and your family, and we wish you well. All right.
Thank you very much. You guys can take care, right?
So from
Okay.
Mr. Jim, pleasure to join this live with All Blacks legend. Well, thank you very much, Jim, and thank you very much for the rest of our audience tonight. And we do have Bro Joe terbaik, Coach Lee Nyokfa. Well done, Coach Lee, from Izam bin Ibrahim Kamate. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone. It's already 1 hour. Maybe 2 last questions for you, Rod. For this coming match, Wallabies against the Springboks, what is your prediction for this clash between the Wallabies and the Springboks? Rod?
Why do you have to ask such an obvious question, Bob? It's such,
you have 2 questions. This is the first one.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the Australians win it. I'm hoping that they win it, but it's going to be very tough against a tough South African team.
Okay, all right. So another games that will be the All Blacks against the Argentinas on Sunday. So what's your prediction or what's your opinion on that?
Oh, I think the All Blacks will be too good for the Argentinians. I think 20 points. Where a lot of the experimental stuff that's happening at the moment for the All Blacks, but I believe that the systems that they have in place and the process is gonna be too good for the Argentinians.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, Rod. So it has been 1 hour sharp that we are on air together with Rod, Coach Lee, Chocho, and also Datuk Sharul. Perhaps, Datuk Sharul, any last word from you, Datuk, to our Malaysian rugby fraternity, for our friends who have been watching with us for the last 1 hour, Datuk?
Yeah, again, I hope that 1 hour just now, has inspired all our boys and girls to be great, like what Rod has been all his life. And as I've said, nothing is impossible if you dare to dream and work hard and smart, just like what Rod did. And one day you'll be where he was before. So nothing is impossible. And from that 1 hour of sharing just now, I'm sure you have been motivated, and all you need to do is continue to work hard and smart to achieve what you dream of, just like Rod did throughout his life. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Datuk. Datuk Sharul is the president of the Malaysia Rugby. Thank you so much, Datuk. And perhaps can we get the last word from Rod? Maybe you want to tell something to your Malaysian fans, Malaysian All Blacks fans here right now watching you, Rod?
Yeah, no, I'd really like to say that that don't forget the reasons why you play. So don't focus too much on the outcome. The outcome of where you want to be is a byproduct of what you do in that process. So the first thing that you should be doing with rugby is enjoying it. If you love it, you are going to give 100% into that sport. So really drive yourself and really enjoy what you're doing, and then challenge yourself to succeed, whatever that is. If you want to play for the Malaysian team, or if you want to play the Malaysian females team, really push yourself in that process, and then enjoy it. Enjoy the journey as you go.
All right. Right. Thank you, Rod. There you are, ladies and gentlemen. That's a wrap up for our segment tonight. On behalf of the organizer, Akademi Ragbi Malaysia, Malaysia Rugby, and also Rugby.MY, we would like to thank everyone, especially Datuk Sharul, Coach Lee, Chocho, and also Rod, for being with us tonight for the past 1 hour. Thank you very much. And to all our audience who have asking, typing their comments, their question, everything. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We shall be keep in touch with Rod and the rest of rugby legends around the world. Maybe for the next session, they will bring in more rugby legends with us here in Malaysia. And thank you very much once again, Datuk Sharul, Coach Lee, Chocho, and also Rod. Hope to see you again next time around. So with that, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Good evening, good night, and hope to see you again. Bye.
JJ.
Thank you, Rod. See you.